If you're looking to get into dark romance but aren't really sure where to start, or maybe you're a little concerned that you don't want to go too dark, I've got the book for you. And it is Behind Closed Doors by Shain Rose. And it has all of the elements of a dark romance, your morally gray MMC. It's got the crime, it's got some kidnapping, it's got all those things you would expect from a dark romance. But it also has what I would call a fairly heartwarming moments, some humor, and it definitely is something that I think you'll walk away feeling satisfied with at the HEA, the happily ever after. Now, let me go ahead and start this review with my standard warning that this is only my opinion. You may have a different opinion, and that's perfectly fine. I have zero issue with that. Now, let's start with a basic plot. What is this book about? So you have the two main characters. You have Mia Darling. She is a teacher teaching the summer program at this prestigious school called the Blackstone Academy for this town, Paradise Grove. Now, this town it's more of an enclave, I would call, than a town. It's very wealthy, very high security, gated, all of those things. So much so that there are armed guards at the school who are protecting the very few pupils she has for this summer program. And then you have Jameson Knight. He is the father, the single father of one of her students, a favorite of hers, Franny. And as far as she knows, he's a surgeon, according to Franny. Except one day, while waiting for Jameson to pick up his daughter, and he does seem to be a devoted father, this fleet of SUVs comes barreling towards the school, shooting up the school. The armed guards there, Archer and Xavier, shuffle them to a safe room and engage in this gunfight. Jameson shows up to save the day, ultimately decides in that moment, I think you should come to my mansion with us to be the nanny and teacher for my daughter, since she clearly cannot be safe here at the school. Mia does not think that's a great idea, but he takes her anyway. And that's just the first two chapters. Now, the book is, of course, about these two in this environment with one another as they grow closer and closer to each other, with that push-pull, the yearning, all of those things you would expect from a romance book. It's just really well done. There's plenty of action through this. There's a mystery of who's after Mia and Franny, and there's a plot twist I did not see coming whatsoever. And ultimately, you get a very satisfying HEA. So let's first talk about the characters in this book. I think the characterizations that the author did here were excellent. Mia. Now, one of the problems that I see a lot in dark romance with the female main character is that she's one of two things. She's either a complete doormat or she's a total badass. Nothing in between. And in this book, we have the in between. We have Mia, I would call as fairly normal. Now, she does have her own baggage. There's a reason she's kind of hiding out at this school. She has a lot of conflict with her family, who she's not speaking with, not at her own behest, but theirs. And she has some incidents that happened in her youth that framed why all of this conflict happened with her family. She is a little bit closed off in that regard because of the hurt of her family. And she has a sister who's really the only person she still talks to from her family, but is in an abusive relationship. And she would like to do what she can to get her sister out of that relationship. And then you have Jameson. Jameson Knight is a surgeon. That is his schooling. That is his background. But his family has also been in charge of this syndicate called the Diamond Syndicate. It is a criminal organization with their hands kind of in everything. That's the basic general vibe of it. From lawmakers to politicians to companies, it doesn't matter. They're in everything. So a surgeon by trade that then becomes the leader of this criminal syndicate. So interesting friction there, because you're talking about a healer versus a killer. So these are a yin and yang effect there. He is a single father to young Franny. His wife has died, but he also has his baggage, and that not just that he has a dead wife, but that right before his wife was found dead, she left them, just up and left with no words. While that marriage was considered a political marriage for his criminal organization merging reasons, he very much wanted this to be a marriage that works. He loves his daughter dearly. He's a completely devoted father, which is very attractive in this book. And he he looked at it as like, this is the mother of my child. I want this to work. Well, one day she was Franny from school and just didn't show up. And so she left. So he has really closed himself off from introducing another woman into his life and into his daughter's life because of the situation that happened with Franny's mother. Except here's the problem. They're really attracted to each other, y'all. So we'll get into that. It's fantastic. I love the push and pull here. Now, one thing that made the story quite rich was the side characters, I will say. You have Archer, who is one of the security personnel that watched over Franny while she was at school, and that Mia has gotten to know, and Xavier, but it's really about Archer. So you have those two guards. And Xavier and Archer, especially Archer, I really enjoy Archer because he's really gotten to like Mia, not in a romantic way, but in like you would look at a sister. He's quite protective of her, and sometimes this can clash with what his employer Jameson wants him to do. So it's really funny how much he puts himself in between those two, and it's always to the detriment of Archer, and it's cute. And you have at the mansion itself, you're introduced to an array of characters, including Rosie the cook, who becomes a good friend to Mia, but also is sitting back because she knows Jameson really well and enjoying this this push and pull, I guess you could call it, between the two. Hades is the head of security for Jameson, and he is with Rosie. And then Grandmother Knight, this is Jameson's mother. She lives right down the road. And, well, she's a bit of a dragon, you guys. She's very uptight, and very judgmental, I'll call it. Because not only are they're in this criminal syndicate and everything, but they're very much the country club set. That is the outward appearance that they give to the world. So they're very proper. And she really looks down on Mia. She is not a fan because Mia is very open. She's a teacher. Think of a teacher of young children, right? So that's who she is. And then, of course, you have, I think there is books in the same universe that I have not read. This is my first time reading this author. And they're bringing back characters for those. Two women by the name of Pink and Olive. And they're a delight because they end up being an interesting pair, an interesting duo. They're quite gregarious in nature, and they do become quite good friends for Mia. So she has kind of her little team there. And of course, there's a dog, a Doberman, that is trained to protect Franny, but also trained to obey Jameson. And the funny thing with the dog is how much it gravitates towards Mia little by little till eventually Jameson's like, what the hell, where's the dog? I really enjoyed that. It's just a little side thing. And then there's Valerie, and she is the official bitch of the story. You always got to have one, right? She is Franny's psychologist, also family friend, that comes once a week to visit with Franny and then visit with Jameson because she's very much trying out to be the next Mrs. Knight, except he has no interest in that. Now, does he have interest in smashing with Valerie? Absolutely. But he kind of hates her. And she does not like Mia. She looks at Mia as an absolute threat. It's like, okay, you've got this woman, this very attractive woman that's living in the house and has unfettered access to the man that she wants. Yeah, that doesn't bode well for Valerie and Mia's relationship. Good news is Valerie doesn't last too long, but it does create some friction in the early days. Now, the pacing of this book and the plot of this book, I thought were quite excellent. It does a pretty good job of balancing between humor and action and discovery, and of course the yearning and the relationship and the getting to know each other between the two of them. But right off the cuff with this book, something that impressed me was just how well it hooked. So much happened just in the first 2 chapters alone. I would say that Jameson had quite the entrance into the story. Now, remember, they are at this very, very exclusive school. This group of people come and shoot up the school. They're trying to kill Franny and or Mia. We're unsure at this point. And the most interaction she has had with Franny's father up till now is just seeing him pick up his daughter. He'd hug her. He seemed like a nice guy. The security team has held off this group of armed assailants, and she has been shuttled into the safe room with Franny, and she can see what's going on through the monitors. And finally, Jameson shows up in his perfectly tailored suit. And, you have the various assailants about, and she sees him walk into the room, remove his suit jacket, because he's always in a perfectly tailored suit, y'all. Love that. And this is how we're introduced to Jameson. Jameson was professional and cold, but I knew how he was genuinely kind to his daughter. There was no way he would hurt this man, I told myself. Yet he murmured one more sentence I couldn't make out before he shoved the knife into the man's stomach and then wrenched it up towards his throat so hard there was no time for the man to reply. He dropped to the floor with another loud thud. Then Jameson's cold gaze turned directly toward a security camera like he was peering into my soul as he unrolled his sleeves and put his navy suit jacket back on. He was covering up the speckles of blood on that white shirt and was careful as he stepped over the bodies. He walked over to the rug and pulled it up. "Unlock the door, Miss Darling," I heard from above. That's our introduction to Jameson. So as far as Mia knows at this juncture, Franny has told her that her father is a surgeon. Yeah, something is amiss here. And again, in the first 2 chapters, so all of this happens, and he makes the snap judgment that Franny really wants her teacher with her and wants her to be protected. So it says, you know what? You're coming with us. I'm not going to stay here because she lives on campus. And she's like, no, you're crazy. I just saw you do all of this. I want nothing to do with this. Bye-bye. And he decides, no, you know what? That's not how this is going to work. I do love this part because it very much exemplifies Mia in that she's not taking it lying down, because he says, I'm taking you with me, whether you like it or not. I narrowed my eyes now, ready to fight. Want to bet? With that, he threw me over his shoulder, literally kicking and screaming. I clawed at his back and fought the whole way. He didn't falter one step. It was like I was fighting a damn brick wall. They had me in an SUV to his hometown within minutes. He told me to act right or he'd drug me. So, I was drugged. I don't know why that part cracks me up so much. I think it's because it's like, it definitely injects some humor into it. But, yeah, so she ends up at his estate. And I would say he is very hands-off. He's a bit cold to her. Everybody else is very welcoming, but he's a bit cold to her. But it doesn't take long before the attraction between the two of them is very obvious. She finds him very, very attractive, as does he her. But he knows that she knows nothing about his business and what he does, as well as that she is just a teacher. She needs to be hands-off. That doesn't last long, you guys. I would say my favorite is the banter between these two, because there's constant arguing, including that she is very emphatic about certain things and being the right thing for his daughter, as well as, you know what, you being a surgeon doesn't add up here. So as we move along in the banter between the two, and there are these threats, you know, she's challenging him. He not used to somebody challenging him because he's the guy in charge, right? as well as he's clearly attracted to her, but resisting at every turn, as does she. I love the back and forth here. I love the way that she challenges him. For example, this was one of my favorite parts. He is basically keeping them captive inside the mansion because it's the easiest way to protect both Franny and Mia. And she says, "Look, you have a young daughter. She needs fresh air. She needs to go out. She needs to do things. She needs to be outside." They definitely have some arguments on this. And finally, he relents and says, "Okay, fine. We can go somewhere, but it'll be to the club because that is a safe environment. I know that environment. I can control it. We'll go there." So they go to play tennis at the club, because again, very white collar, very upper crust type of area. And the part where he starts basically mansplaining to her about tennis and it's like, "Okay, I'm just going to lob the ball to you. You just keep your eye on the ball and you try to hit it." What he does not know is Mia was almost professional level, almost Olympic level tennis player back in her youth. But thanks to a coach that she had that tried to assault her, she ended up quitting. And this, of course, is the dynamic between her family, who were upset that she did so, not backing her up on that. And that's why she no longer speaks with her family. But besides the point, she runs that man all over that court. He is just absolutely sweating, just working, because she is killing it with this. And he's very competitive. It's just in his nature. And she's also competitive. So these two are just about to kill each other on the tennis court. I love that. I love that she's like, "Oh, yeah? Okay, sure. You show me, lob me a ball. Show me how to play some tennis." You guys, the dynamic between them is excellent. So as we go along, she learns more about him, including his business, till finally he basically reveals exactly what he does. And I think he's ready for her to run away screaming type of thing, because I think that's what he wants in some respects, because it keeps him safe from being with her. Because again, he's very closed off in this regard. He's attracted to her, he wants her, but he's very worried about being too close to her because he knows she would break through that wall that he's put around himself. And she is somewhat scared, naturally, by him, as well as a little concerned as well. She has plans and ideas, and this is a world she does not know. Not only is it the wealth and everything else that encompasses, but also the violence, the casual acceptance of this kind of retribution being handed down when these types of things happen. So again, he is yearning for her, but fighting it. And I love this. And so we get things like this. "You're upending what I thought I should be for my daughter, what I thought I should be for a woman, and what I thought I should be for myself. I'm not a good man, Mia. I won't commit to you, won't treat you well, and will put a lot before you." I love that because it's very much, it just personifies his struggle in this. She is making him absolutely take a look at how he is and how he's behaving. Like she wants him more present for his daughter. But at the same time, he just genuinely does not believe he is good enough for her. And that is ultimately, this internal struggle. You always have an external and internal struggle. The internal struggle for Jameson is his desires for her, but the danger he would necessarily put her in. He is devoted to being protective of his daughter because she is his daughter, but does he drag someone else into this? He looks at her as too pure, too good to bring into his world. And of course, his external struggle being exactly that, protecting those who he loves. And by widening his protective bubble, which he very much has a touch or die type of personality. By widening that protective bubble, he's also introducing risk and vulnerabilities into his life. And meanwhile, Mia over here is reeling from this world that she's in, a completely foreign world. She might as well have landed on an alien planet. And while she is very attracted to him, one, she has goals. She needs to save her sister. And two, this is not her world. She does not know how she fits in this world or if she fits in this world. So these are the types of things that she is struggling against. And of course, her external struggle is not dying. I mean, straight up, not dying. People keep trying to kill them. And that is certainly, those are the types of genuine conflict that I appreciate with this book. And the pacing of this is excellent. So as they get closer, there is both the physical attraction and the relationship type of that they're getting together with. He is consistently denying himself the physical relationship with her, even though she's like, hey, I'm down. And primarily because he knows if he starts something with her physically, he's not going to be able to keep his heart from being involved. But now Pink and Olive, those are the friends. They are slightly bad influences, but also Mia has decided, she's been cooped up in this mansion. She needs to get out. So Pink and Olive come up with this idea, hey, let's go to the city and go dancing at the club. Of course, Jameson's like, oh, hell no, no way. It is not safe. You can't do that. And they're like, yeah, we can. And yeah, we're going to. So he sends Archer and Xavier with him, so his security with them. And he also sends them to a club that he feels confident he can see them on the security cameras. I guess he has them in there. Remember, poor Archer, who's always in between. Mia wants to dance, and she's convincing Archer, like, hey, dance with me. He's like, you were going to get me killed, woman, because everybody can see they're attracted to one another. Everybody can see that they're supposed to be together, except for those two who keep fighting it. And so she does convince Archer because, again, well, he really likes her and he wants to make her happy. So she convinces him to dance with her. And Jameson sees this on the camera or whatever, loses his mind. He's on the motorcycle. He's heading there like 150 miles per hour. He comes in, he's punching Archer, and Mia's all mad at him. I mean, the poor man, he's like, you are done. You're dead to me. Poor Archer. I tell you what, by the way, he does not get fired, but now they're fighting with one another, and he is still denying his feelings for her. She knows he has feelings for her, and she's willing to explore it, but not as long as he's continuing to deny it and acting like a Neanderthal and telling him so. And he goes, I'm protecting you from... She says, I don't want to be protected. I want to be respected like every damn woman should be. I love you, Mia. I love you saying that because that is the friggin' truth. I love that. Ultimately, at that point, yeah, they get together physically. And as they're together longer, he realizes, you know what? This is a woman for me. I am going to let her in. I can't let her go because he just becomes too close to her. He has not informed her of this, of course, right? But she is also feeling the same way. And ultimately, this yearning leads to this cataclysmic, we'll call it a culmination of physical attraction that then builds into this relationship, into where he's decided, you know what, you're mine, I'm not letting you go. If you do not want the spoiler part of this book, stop now, because what I say next is absolutely spoilers. Everything else is pretty general, but this is a spoiler. Remember, he has the dead wife, right? Well, he finally decides, you know what, she is the person for me. She decides, yes, he's the person for me as well. They decide they will be together. And then one day, Mia walks in and Franny's like, oh, have you seen my mom? She looks so beautiful. And Franny's like, what are you talking about? Or Mia's, what are you talking about? And Franny brings her down, and there she is, his supposedly dead wife. Oh, except very much alive. Alexandra Lex, the wife. And she's awful, y'all. So remember I said this was a political marriage. So she does not love Jameson. She's not motherly. She's not maternal. She does not like Mia. And she tells me, she's like, you are in the way of my family. I am back now. You need to go. I am the mother of his child. And Mia is very sensitive to this. So she's very sensitive to not being the other woman. And, I don't blame her. She doesn't want to be the other woman. She's like, okay. Well, Jameson comes in and he's like, no, we are not together. Okay, so you're not dead. Got it. We're still going to get a divorce. I am with Mia now. And Mia's not sure what to do. But then she finds out that while she looks at him, it's like, gosh, you must be, so shocked your supposedly dead wife is back. Except he's not quite so shocked. Why? Because he's known. He's known she wasn't dead. Now Mia's pissed. Except he hasn't known for a long time, but still he knew, and he did not tell Mia. So that's at that point she's like, nope, I'm out of here. Bye-bye. And she heads off to a hotel because, again, it's still not safe for her, so she goes off to somewhere safe. Now, Archer, of course, goes with her because he is devoted. Archer and Xavier both go with her because they're devoted to her. And the funniest part with all of this, you guys, is like all of his staff and his friends pretty much side with Mia. So, you've got Pink and Olive. They're definitely, they're Team Mia all the way. And Mia ends up to the hotel of either Pink or Olive's husband, I forget which. And, Rosie the cook, she's stocking up her hotel room. You've got Archer and Xavier, who are being her bodyguards during this. So everybody's basically on her side. And Jameson is going crazy. He's like, wife, you may be alive, but you are not my wife. We're getting a divorce. And he finds out that I guess where the wife was with one of his enemies, and that enemy is the one who's responsible for all of the attempts on Franny and Mia's lives. And so he locks her up and he says, I will deal with you later, because he has to win back Mia. And he tries to go to the hotel. They turn him away. He tries to break in and they catch him and turn him away. He starts texting her incessantly, and she's ignoring him. So his daughter decides to help him, I guess. And it's like, you should get her some flowers. So he sends not just a bouquet of flowers. He sends thousands of flowers. Finally, she texts him back. It's like, stop sending the flipping flowers. His daughter then says, you know what? Instead, I think I know what'll do it. A pink car. You should get her a pink car. Because she's a 10-year-old girl, y'all. And he texts her and says, Franny thinks I should get you a pink car. She says, don't you dare. So, it shows up the next day, the pink car, which I love that. And then in the same vein, as he's listing all the ways that he is groveling, putting in some real grovel effort, he's like, and I killed Paolo. This is the guy that was behind trying to murder Mia and Franny. He's like, I killed Paolo. I tortured him, but I didn't get quite the satisfaction I thought I would. It made me laugh. And I think here is why. So much in the way that you have John Wick, and everybody remembers that, and remembers he murdered a bunch of people, right? There was a lot of violence there. But yet, when you watched it, you felt it was justified. Everyone's like, yeah, seems a reasonable reaction. Yeah, it seems legit. I think you get the same vibe here with Jameson. So even though he performs all this violence, you're very much like, yeah, that seems justified. Yeah, that seems good. I'm good with that. And I think that is why I find it almost heartwarming. I know that sounds really messed up, but it isn't. Like, you'd have to read it. One of the things that Mia realizes when she's at this hotel, she's not felt like she's belonged, because she's in this environment that's completely foreign to her. And also her own family has pretty much just disowned her. They don't talk to her anymore. So she feels adrift. She has no family. And as she's there with all of these people protecting her and helping her during all of this, she says, sometimes family wasn't the people who gave you life, but the people who chose to be in yours and support you through the best and worst times. Their love was intentional, their support a choice, and their acceptance the reassurance I so desperately needed. They were the people that chose me, and I chose them. And I wanted him to choose me too. Maybe that's what hurt most. Oh my God, you guys, lines like that, it does it for me. I love that part. She's there in the hotel room. Xavier and Archer have been guarding her, alternating in order to be able to guard her around the clock. And Xavier comes in and he walks and in comes Lex. Lex, who's supposed to be locked up because, Archer will deal with her later. Oh no. Xavier has helped her get to Mia. He has betrayed her. And Lex has a gun. She's going to get rid of this problem as she sees the impediment in her head to her and Jameson being back together. Now, Xavier, before he leaves, he drops a gun in Mia's lap and says, "Good luck," and off he goes. He's out. He's done. I was so mad, y'all. Lex basically tells her, like, you are in the way, you're a problem. And Mia, of course, is like, no, you are the one that left. I mean, you can't just decide. And he's like, well, I'm the mother of his child. Of course he'll pick me eventually, but I need to get you out of the way first. And Mia says to her, I don't think you ever loved him. I don't even know if you loved Franny. And Mia is very astute on this because Lex goes on to tell her, no, who cares if I love him or not? It's a good match because of politics. It will further my family's business. And then proceeds to tell her how her plans are to basically auction off her daughter, Franny, in order to gain better partnerships and more power for her family business. At this point, I think that's when Mia made the decision she ultimately made. She was done with this woman. When Lex goes to kill Mia, Mia holds up a gun. And she's like, you're not going to shoot me. You're a teacher. You aren't of our world. This is not who you are. And so Mia shoots her right through the heart. That is Adora now. Y'all, when I say I cheered at that, I was like, yes. Of course, Jameson comes skidding in after that, and he's concerned. She is now not just been introduced to this world, but had to be actively involved in the violence of it, except Mia was perfectly fine with it. They end up basically living happily ever after. Unfortunately, Xavier does not make it. They hunt him down, and he is... I love this. I would call this book heartwarming. A heartwarming dark romance. Different. But there's some things, if I have to give it a rating, it's definitely a 5-star for me. Some things I noticed about this book, besides the really good characterization, the pacing, and the plot, I thought were all excellent. So the book didn't feel like it had any moments where it really sagged. An interesting observation, I thought it felt a little bit like, not a retelling, I would say, but definitely strongly inspired by Jane Eyre. Other than, Jane Eyre was a little bit more meek, a little bit quieter, more introverted, and of course you didn't have the crazy wife addict, but you still had the supposedly dead wife. So it definitely has those elements to it. I guess you could say a modern retelling of Jane Eyre. Two things that really made me enjoy this book the most was the agency that the female main character had. I love that. I love that she was not a wilting flower. She definitely had agency. And I love that the male main character was not one-noted. He was complex. So he wasn't just this leader of this criminal syndicate. He was also a surgeon. He was also a devoted father. So you definitely saw some of those more tender elements within this very non-tender personality. And yeah, I know this is the start of a new series, so there'll be additional books, and I cannot wait to read them. But if you are looking for a dark romance, or you're already a dark romance fan, but if you're looking as an entree into the dark romance world, excellent book to do so. Thank you guys so much for joining me today to talk about Behind Closed Doors. If you like this video, please comment, like, and subscribe. And I have many more books on the deck that we can discuss in future videos. Can't wait to see you guys then.